deep would you like me to go?
Look, it's been a long time since I did a recording with a mature person such as yourself. My standards have slipped.
So it would seem. It's a bit... they've slipped a lot if you go that I'm the mature one.
I mean, you've always been the slightly more mature one.
Slightly more.
Or at least the one who's trying harder to seem it.
Doing my best to appear mature.
And saying mature that way is already like half the battle, really.
Mature? As opposed to what way?
Well, mature.
Mature!
People like to really put the ch in there, as opposed to a ts.
Well...
Both are valid, but only one is classy. It's like scone and scone, isn't it?
Is it?
Except really only one of those is acceptable as well.
Yeah, which one is it?
I want to know which side you fall first.
No, it's unacceptable. What side do you fall on?
I refuse to answer unless you do first.
Right, I think that we both have the same side then, which is whatever side the other person isn't.
Oh, for right. I spend a lot of my time, like the key part of my job is teaching phonics. And phonetically, it is scone. Just deal with that fact however you want to.
No, it's scone, man. It's scone. It's clearly scone.
You're from the south. Don't pretend that you don't think it's scone. You're from one of the middle class bits of the south.
In general...
Don't deny your heritage.
I'm not going to deny my heritage. In general, I do genuinely pick whichever version of that word the other person doesn't, just because I find that funny. So if someone says scone, I will say scone, and if the other person says scone, I will say scone. But that aside, I think my inclination would be scone. I think scone sounds weird to me.
I don't have time to teach you about split vowel digraphs, but I'm sure Hannah could do that just as well, possibly better. I mean, she's the one that's technically qualified.
Which is just point out the fact that English is a mess. And the order of letters are irrelevant when it comes to how to pronounce the word.
They're a guideline, not a hard and fast rule. But people who don't follow guidelines are still wrong a lot of the time.
This is something that I've long come to terms with about English and stuff. Of like, I used to be like a prescriptivist, I guess. I'd be like, this is how it should be done. And it's just, that's not the way, man. That's not the way. It's like English and all language, it is what it is. It evolves and changes and you just got to go with it.
It's also just occurred to me that Hannah is definitely the kind of person that says scone.
I think she does as well, to be honest.
Yeah, and that is potentially friendship ruining for me.
Oh, no.
I won't test this any further. I can take it from you, but from her, no.
Maybe don't open that door then.
I'm used to like small incremental disappointments from you.
Oh, man. So on the topic of scones then, what toppings do you put on them? And in what order do you apply them?
I just don't eat them in the first place, so it really doesn't affect my life.
Oh.
If I do eat them, it's either on their own or with butter. All the other stuff, that's posh shit. I don't do that.
How can you go through life without experiencing the sheer joy that is clotted cream and jam on a scone? I
was wondering whether you'd actually put the word in the sentence or not. I just don't care. Don't care. I'm in it for the phonics.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why there's been a 2-month break in the Spinnerproof. Ryan and I got sick of each other's shit. No,
now I'm scared it's true.
No, that's not true at all. No,
I mean, you haven't really had the opportunity to get sick of my shit. What's actually happened is making retuncti notes is horribly time-consuming, and I never want to do it. But now I've done all the notes I'm going to need to do for the rest of it.
Poor.
And there might be a rather close upcoming time limit to get it finished by, but that's by the by.
So, yeah, right, the plan with retuncti, that I don't think we've particularly discussed, but I think we're probably on the same page, which is either we finish it before BattleBots airs, or we never finish it.
I only see one of those as an option. Even if it takes like a 4-hour live stream to get it done, just so you don't have the pain of editing that mess, it's getting done.
Yes.
We have a vague idea of what that deadline is. It's closer than we would like, and it's going to be a struggle. I calculate, I think we've got 39 fights left, which means I've got to add a third place playoff to make it around 40. Just can't not. And we have got through about 4 an episode the last few times we've done it.
Why wouldn't you go? We've got a lot of fights to go through. Let's add one more.
I mean, 39 is a number that has merits. You know, it's divisible by 3. very, very obviously divisible by 3, and that's nice. But round numbers are better.
If you say so.
Notice I could find only one merit of the number 39.
Only one merit. Poor 39.
Do you mind if I just talk BattleBots now we're on the subject?
Yeah, go for it.
Because we last spoke about this last episode, which was a very long time ago. I think I was quite cautiously pessimistic about it. I'm guessing your opinions won't have changed because you won't have followed a single thing that's been going on, will you?
I know nothing about BattleBots. In the last 2 months, I think I've looked at the subreddit once, and that was to complain about music, and then that's it.
In that case, this little section is just an opportunity for me to retract my pessimism.
Okay.
I still think there are going to be some issues with this season. I have no faith in them to handle the lack of crowd in a way that isn't just pumping fake crowd noise over the top and little things like that. But overall, from what we've seen of the field that's been revealed to supporters, from what we've seen of basically everything, this is going to be the kind of series that if you didn't know there was weird stuff going on behind the scenes, you would look at it and go, that's a great lineup. I think because we know that things are different, we're going to look for those differences. I'm sure that if we end up talking about the series a lot, we really don't know what our plans are, but if we end up analysing, I'm sure I'm going to pull up loads of things that are based purely on me knowing that it's different. But overall, I'm now just at a point of excitement over what we've got to come. And we should very soon, hopefully, have all of the robot profiles going up on the website, which is going to be an exciting time for us all.
Thinking about like fake crowd noise and stuff, have you watched the latest series of Taskmaster?
Yes.
So I don't know if that crowd is fake or in a different room and just watching it over a thing, but I cannot tell either way.
So they say it was in a different room. I'm not sure I believe them. I think it could be purely canned. I feel like I notice a difference in the way people behave on stage because they haven't got an audience there giving affirmation that what they're doing is funny. But that's exactly what I was talking about with BattleBots. I think once you know there is a difference, you look for evidence of it.
Yeah.
So that could just me kind of tinfoil hatting over the whole thing.
Yeah, I know. So I agree that I think the people on stage are act a bit differently, but it's like, is that because they're just different people to the previous people on Taskmaster, or is it because it's a different environment? I don't know. But just in terms of the experience of watching it, I think you're right. Like it can clearly be done well. So I can't tell if the crowd is in that room or not, and I can't tell if it's a pre-recorded canned thing or if it is an actual audience that's somewhere else. I genuinely can't tell.
My worry with BattleBots specifically, they've always used what seems to be fake crowd noise. If you watch the live cuts of fights, you can't hear the crowd pretty much at all. So what they're pumping over is either the actual crowd noise recorded, or far more likely their idealised version of what a crowd sounds like.
Well, I mean, if that's what it is, then it's going to be no different. It's going to be exactly the same as it is any other season then this year, isn't it?
But here's the thing. You're going to be hearing that sound, knowing for sure that it can't be real. And that's the thing that bothers me. I've watched a few live football matches where they're doing the fake crowd noise thing. And it's not weird to be hearing crowd noise. The crowd noise is fine. It's weird to be hearing them and not seeing them.
We'll see, I suppose, won't we? We'll just have to wait and see. I'm sure it'll be fine. I think that they will, like, they know how to make a watchable TV show, and I think that I'd like to think that it wouldn't be weird to watch, but well, yeah, who knows?
They know how to make a watchable show. A listenable show has been a little trickier for them in the recent past. And don't pretend you haven't made that exact point before.
I don't know what you mean. I would never complain about the production quality or style of anything in particular. No.
Hang on, have I got a big sheet of metal here that I could just suddenly bash on for no reason?
I certainly wouldn't complain about added sound effects. Don't be ridiculous. They enhance the viewing experience.
I've been making enough crashing sound effects of my own anyway that I almost want a break from them. I assume you've watched my Twitter videos from the day of recording.
I did. I watched them at lunchtime or just after lunchtime today and greatly enjoyed the suspense of, like, will you cut your wires with your spinner or will you not? So that was good fun.
I shouldn't be allowed to make real weapons. I shouldn't try to play with all the sort of bigger boys.
No, do it, man. Do it.
I might just keep making bad flippers and lifters I think that's more my zone. This whole spinner thing, not my speed at all.
I think you should know that. I think you should keep going with the spinner thing. I'm very excited to see what you build with it.
So, for context of people who listen to this and don't, check up on what was posted on the day of recording before listening to it, I'm building an outweight spinner. I have a design all planned out on computer, my usual 2D thing. I've got the parts together, the electronics. I wanted to give them a quick test out because obviously I've not worked with brushless before. Came up with a little test setup for that.
You've beaten me to brushless.
You've used brushless before with a plane, haven't you?
I have, but you've beaten me to brushless in a robot, which is not hard to do.
I mean, it's just the kind of guy I am. I'm ahead of the curve. I'm the trailblazer of this team.
Of the entire sport, frankly.
Oh yeah, no one's done this before. This is a first for the outweight class. Even the person that I bought the bar off of hasn't done it before. Tom Brewster, no spinners.
No, he's got no idea. No idea what's going on.
He's a wedge man, Yeah, I tell you what, it was actually a really good experience. Obviously, I've now worked out that I can build stuff. It's not necessarily good stuff, but I can build stuff. I can do it at reasonable speed. I can play around with ideas. So the idea of trying to do something a bit more competitive probably isn't the best way to describe an amp-weight spinner. That's, if anything, less competitive than what I already have, but more fun. The idea of actually pushing myself to do something is something I was quite keen on, and it's been really nice just using it as a way to show myself what I've actually learned.
Yeah.
I was able to get those parts together and just sort everything out without really thinking about it. Just get it together and get it working in about 20 minutes. It took longer to try and drill the holes to make a little motor mount than it did to get all of the wiring sorted for it. And to look back on myself, it's like, yes, I've been in this for a couple of years now, but even earlier this year, I was still sending you photos of receivers to make sure that I'd got everything in the right place. And now here I am, playing with brushless, confidently, not even worrying if the setup is correct, able to think about all the other things, like not killing myself while testing it.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. Because when we first started doing it, I feel like you wouldn't go near the electronics with a 6-foot pole. You're sort of like, nope, don't know how to do that. Sam, you do it. Whereas, like you said, now you're just just sticking circuits together like it's nothing.
Yeah, I think I was always scared to do it because my fear has always been just damaging parts. And if there's someone there who can do it properly, you just give it to them and you don't really worry about your own learning. But where I've played around with a lot of sort of bad ideas with bad parts, had the opportunity to make those mistakes and not really made them, the confidence is really built. And this was a good moment to just see how far that had come. So that was quite nice. I also enjoyed the challenge of testing it safely.
Yep.
I went really OTT on... Well, OTT is not the right phrase. I did the correct amount of thinking about safety. I went OTT on explaining it more than anything. Just making sure everyone could go, hey guys, look, I've thought this through. Because there's nothing I hate more than just watching sort of unsafe testing videos and moaning about them. Yeah, I don't enjoy that at all. There's no pleasure whatsoever that I get out of telling other people they've done things wrong.
I'm frankly stunned that you have had the confidence to upload a video of you testing a spinner at all. Like, if I'd complained about unsafe testing methodologies as much as you have, I wouldn't film it. I'd be like, I'm going to test it in the privacy of my own home. I'm not going to film it. I'm not going to make it public. And I would still do it safely, but it's like, I'm not even going to expose myself to people complaining about it.
I went further than that. I actually solicited opinions on how well I'd done on the safety front.
Blimey.
Your own Leverloo gave me a 9 out of 10 for safety.
Ooh, 9 out of 10.
Which I will take.
What was the
9
point?
Out of 10.
What was the point that you lost?
Well, he says that he would only give a 10 out of 10 for someone who's testing in an actual arena. I think I should lose points for the fact I didn't have any kind of weapon lock. And I should maybe lose points just for the fact that I was kind of handling the transmitter in the way I was, like squeezing through a not fully open door with it. But that wasn't really visible on the video, to be fair. So.
But now you've just told the world.
Yeah, see, too honest. That's my problem. And too generous and too nice. I'm fatally flawed. The main thing I learned, however, apart from I can't make motor mounts very well, is that pretty much my whole ant design probably isn't going to work. So that's fun.
That's always good to learn. Well, it's good to learn that early in the process, I suppose. What won't work about it? If you're willing to divulge such details.
So my testing setup involved just kind of bolting the motor onto a bit of polycarb. And the reason it wasn't working very well is that polycarb was vibrating underneath it.
Yeah.
I managed to secure that down a bit more and still had the same issue until eventually the whole thing just failed. I had, on the sort of final iteration of it, I had that motor maybe about 20 mil from a bit of support. In the actual design, it's going to be like 40 mil from the nearest bit of support. That thing is going to vibrate to death, I'm sure of it. So that'll be fun. I can get it up to kind of 30, 40% throttle, fine. Which, I don't know, maybe people aren't sending their spinners full pelt in ants. I don't really know, but I sure want to.
Yeah, of course.
Basically, my whole goal for this is to be able to go into school and tell people that weapon moves at over 100 miles an hour. That's the goal. I've got to hit three figures.
Are you planning to take that into schools or just tell people that you've built it?
Not to run it, but I might take it in as a thing to show people. I'm always talking to the kids about the projects that I'm doing.
Fair enough.
They always have interesting questions and interesting ideas of things to build, which I'm more than open to hearing and trying out.
Well, is that where the toilet brush robot came from? Was that an idea from a child?
I mean, I could say yes, but would you believe me?
I'm not sure I would, especially not without hesitation.
I genuinely considered lying there. No, that was all me. As you'll know from things I've said before, kids have a tendency, if you give them the chance to like fully design a robot, they will try and plan for every possible situation and end up with like 5 different weapons and 3 different wedges in the same place, all slightly different shapes. Basically the me problem for Bogglebots. Their designs tend not to be very realistic, let's say. Whereas smaller bits of ideas I often quite like. What if you just did something with tiny wheels? What would happen?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of know what would happen, but maybe it'd be more fun to find out. What if I tried to use massively high RPM motors with the smallest possible wheels? I don't know. That might get weird. It might be good.
Who knows?
I'm still trying to think of what other robots I did. So I'm starting the spinner. I did the toilet brush thwack bot that didn't thwack until I taped a load of metal to the front of it.
Yeah.
I did an actual thwack bot that doesn't fit into any weight class and thwacked so hard that it basically just destroyed itself constantly. I did the little sit and spin out of the pan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, blimey,
that just made a horrible noise and made everyone around me sad.
And they say there's no perfect design.
The worst bit is I then did the maths on what the tip speed was, and it was something like 5 miles an hour. I was thinking, yeah, this is really fast. It's like, no. That's exceptionally slow. I did start planning a flail spinner around the same sort of design, but with much bigger wheels, so that I could get up to about 30 miles an hour, because again, that felt like a nice kind of landmark speed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
30 miles an hour, speed of a car on a normal road. Never got around to that, made the thwackbot instead, and then other things happened. Started a Beetle as well, the Kilotron replica. Haven't done much on that. Well, I was going to do that this weekend, but then I bought the wrong thickness of steel. I bought 1 mil instead of 2 mil, which I have absolutely no use for, so I might just try and make a shitty Smee clone instead.
Blimey.
I've got too many plans, that's the problem.
But you execute on a lot of them. I don't know, I always admire that.
I execute on some things. I reckon there's about 1 dead idea for every finished idea.
Well, that's a better ratio than what I achieve, so you've got that going for you.
So I wonder how many people will remember your build from maybe a month or so ago.
Well, so we're reaching back in time, and I don't know if we've talked about this or not, but I built a googly eye robot.
A googly eye robot that I think was criminally underrated.
Yeah, so apologies if we spoke about this last episode. I genuinely can't remember if we did, and I didn't bother to go listen to the episode again to find out. So I'm going to talk about it again. But yeah, I sort of like one afternoon, I was sort of like inspired, and I thought, you know what? I've recently sort of had ordered and received an Antweight kit from Bristol Bot Builders, and I thought, now's the time. I'm just going to try and hack together a robot, and I thought I'm going to get the hot glue out, and I'm going to use that to build a robot. And then I used exactly 0 hot glue and built a googly eye robot.
I mean, it's not a real robot if it doesn't have hot glue in it.
Well, okay. Well, therefore, I've not built a real robot. But but yeah, that's what I built. I really enjoyed using the moldable plastic stuff. I've got like that. Like if you heat these little pellets of plastic, you heat them up, and then you can mold them with your hands. So that was quite good fun.
That thermoplastic was the backbone of Split Decision. Without that stuff, I don't think we'd have ever got started.
No. So it's like we used it in Split Decision and then haven't used it since. And I sort of, it's like, oh man, like because what I wanted to build obviously is circular, and I'm like, I have no way of making a circular thing out of anything else. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to mold it, and it's not going to be perfect. It's going to look like rubbish, but I will have built it with my hands. And I also just quite enjoy that experience of sculpting something rather than cutting stuff out and assembling it. So that was quite good fun. So yeah, put all that together. I think that's the only robot that I've built entirely on my own to date.
Really? Wait, what? That hadn't occurred to me.
Yeah, everything else I've built with you. And if I haven't built it with you, I haven't finished it.
You need to up your game, man. Up your game.
Build
some crap shit.
I do want to, but like, there's just so many other things I want to do with my time, and I don't have a good workspace to be working on these things. So
yeah, that's the thing that I think we've discussed a lot, sort of away from the podcast, is that I have the luxury of a shed. I can go and make a mess, and I don't have to clear it up immediately. Whereas for you, you're just working in your own personal space. You've got to kind of mode switch it from a workspace or a living space into a making space, and then back again every single time.
Yeah.
And I think if I were in that situation, I would not get anything done.
Yes, it is frustrating, but I try to combat this by trying to sort of like, I try not to let myself get too carried away with the idea of building a beetle weight on my own. I'm like, look, just stick with the antway stuff, because you can do that on a single tabletop and then just brush it all into a box at the end of the day and you're done.
I wonder if the best approach for you, if you've got like weird ideas that you want to play with, is servos and foam board. It's like the mess-free way of building. And I've made some reasonable stuff out of foam board. Stuff that can compete against other foam board things.
Yeah, a foam board for me is not a material that I particularly enjoy working with, and it's sort of a bit too flimsy. Obviously, I wouldn't expect to use any of the stuff that I've built in any kind of battle or anything, but it's just like, it's flimsy enough that like you can't like screw stuff through it. Sort of like options for joining stuff are a bit more limited, and I just don't enjoy working with it. I think if I do any more sort of like silly experimentation stuff, it will probably be with the thermoplastic, because I just enjoy that process. I think that's really important for me to actually finish something. Is I have to enjoy the process of crafting it.
Well, I think that's true of everyone, surely. I don't think anyone is building robots and not enjoying the process. Obviously, there is an end goal in terms of competing with it, but if that's the only bit you enjoy, I don't think you're going to last very long.
No.
Maybe there are some people like that, people that only enjoy events, but they're then just torturing themselves the rest of the time, and that doesn't sound fun to me.
No, nor me.
I hear some people will pay a lot for that, but...
What? Pay a lot to be tortured, or pay a lot to go to just events?
I mean, why not both?
Okay. Why not both, indeed?
Why not boat?
You're gonna. I feel segue indeed. This is one of those things. It's like, do I want to talk about this or not?
You don't have to.
My plan, my hope when I started building this, because I didn't tell you when I started building this, my hope was I'd have to build this and then surprise you with a video. Be like, look, check YouTube. There's a video of me building this boat and sailing it, and I never finished the boat. Is what happened. And I think part of that is because I kept thinking, I'm going to film this, and that's like another thing. So like the progress I made was all, every time I made progress on it is when I was like, I'm not even going to film it. I'm not going to do anything to document this. I'm just going to build the damn thing.
Filming yourself building something is a huge pain in the arse.
Yes.
Like a huge pain in the arse.
I agree. It is a huge pain in the arse, which is why I don't do it.
Unless, of course, you just do it all real time and then they just upload the whole thing.
Yes, that was, yeah.
People really like that when you do that. That's how they want their content.
I think the important thing here is that the time investment to make the kind of video that I would like to make would like triple or quadruple the amount of time it would take to finish the project. Although at this rate, it would be tripling or quadrupling infinite time, because I haven't finished and I'm not sure I ever will. But yeah, so I did start building a boat. So what I wanted to do, my hope, I was inspired obviously by you building your boat, and I thought I would like to build a boat as well. That'd be quite good fun. Seems very achievable. Why not give it a go? But you may know this about me, you may not. I like thing-shaped things. So what I wanted to build was a boat-shaped boat. I I didn't want to build a boat that was like cobbled together stuff with massive paddles. Not that they're bad, like you should build them, but it's not what I wanted to build. I wanted to build a boat-shaped boat.
I feel severely attacked.
I'm sorry, but not sorry enough to take it back. So
carry on, as you were.
This was the goal, was a boat-shaped boat. And so I have built, well, I know how to build it. I built templates out of paper and then out of card. And I know like the whole sort of shape of the hull. I have a motor that I can use, and I bought some little propellers, and I have like a prop shaft thing that can be waterproof enough through the like bottom of the boat. So I know what it's going to be. And I started building it out of plastic. So the other sort of constraint on this, so part of it was like, this has to be a boat-shaped boat, and it looks like a speedboat. That's sort of roughly what I'm going for. Or something like that anyway. But the other constraint was the materials to use. I thought, well, the spirit of what you did was to sort of like build it out of the stuff that you had to hand. So I don't want to go and buy any more plastic. And none of the plastic that I have is thin enough to bend in any useful way. And so I thought, well, I've got a big stack of Blu-ray cases because I buy films and then I rip them, and then the disc goes into a case, never to be seen again. And the actual like plastic case that they came in becomes rubbish. And where I live, I can't recycle them, which is really irritating. So I thought, well, I'll use that plastic to build a boat. But then it's like a hassle because I've got to cut it out, and it's annoying to cut that plastic out. And I've got to glue it all together to like scarf up longer bits to make the hull. And it's like, that's just annoying to do as well. And so I did a bunch of work on that. I think I watched 2 James Bond films and managed to make the bottom 2 panels out of plastic. At some point I need to find time to stick on another 2 James Bond films to make the rest of the boat. So yeah, I would like to finish it.
Are there enough James Bond films to get you through this build?
I think so. There's like, how many are there? It's like 20 something. I think there's enough.
Is that enough?
Well, the bigger question is probably, have I got enough left? Where did I get up to? There's 24 James Bond films that I have. And I would have watched Live and Let Die and The Man with the Golden Gun and the first bit of The Spy Who Loved Me when I was working on the boat last. So I've got to finish off The Spy Who Loved Me, and then I've got Moonraker, For Your Eyes Only, and a bunch more. So I won't list them all. That's where I got up to.
So maybe there's a hope that this can be finished?
There is a hope, and maybe now that I've talked about it in public, that often kills projects for me, but maybe in this case, talking about a dead project will bring it back to life. Who knows? Plus, it's Halloween, so, you know. Spooky.
I mean, the ranks of the boat builders, it's a pretty illustrious group. And anyone who can join it, I would encourage them to try. But at the same time, I know that if I put pressure on you to finish something, it just becomes less likely.
I would encourage others to join the ranks of boat builders as well, but please don't do it too quickly so that I'm not, like, I don't want to be like the 100th person to do it.
I think that I'm aware of, yours, if it were finished magically tomorrow, would be the 6th boat. There was me, Bevan Team Panic with 2, Oliver from ESC, Jamie McHarg, then it would be you, number 6.
Whew. We'll see. Maybe I'll have time this weekend, maybe? Not sure.
I mean, that depends largely on how long we take to get through the rest of these Ratunti fights.
Oh God, right. We
might be editing all weekend.
we should stop talking about things that don't matter, and we should move on to the thing that's looming over us all.
The axe above all our heads.
Indeed.
Or both our heads, that's the phrase.
Everyone's, all of our heads.
See, even now we're here, even now the notes are complete and the hard yards are behind me, I still almost don't want to get into this.
Look, we've just got to power through. Right, so things for the audience. 1, we've got a lot of fights to get through. 2, we haven't got a lot of time. So we're gonna try our very best to power through these as quickly as possible. How many have we got to get through today? Is it 8?
8.
Oh my!
I think
me.
The big thing we can do is acknowledge when a fight is completely one-sided and just get through it.
And just roll the die, yeah.
There's one of those coming up. We start over with one that I don't think is at all clear-cut. I don't know how you'll feel about it, and that is Magnetar versus Hypothermia. Right.
Magnetar's the one that kept blowing up, right?
Yes. Magnetar made it here, Pulsar didn't, as I recall.
Hi, Editor Sam here. I catastrophically mixed up pulsar and magnetar in this conversation, which renders the entire conversation and the result that followed completely invalid. Now, I don't really want to hear about that on Twitter a whole bunch, so I'm just going to cut the entire conversation and we will do it again properly next time. Unfortunately, because this is the first fight that we're doing in Retuncti, I can't cut it in a way that you won't notice that I've done it. So instead I've chosen to draw as much attention to it as possible.
I'm genuinely so angry. Anyway, would you like to introduce the next one?
Certainly, we have Cherub versus Beta.
Haha, that pronunciation was bait, innit? I want this to be easy and it's not. I'm not comfortable.
That picture of Beta, the hammer just looks so comically oversized.
Well, it is comically oversized. Yeah. That was kind of the point.
I know, and it's just like I feel like I never quite fully appreciate it. It's astonishing.
First thing I should say is I miss this version of Beta. The new one looks like it's going to be very effective, but it hasn't got the same square charm. It's pneumatic, which just feels kind of nah.
The pneumatic hammer?
Compared to the beauty. Yeah.
Oh.
It's just not Beta with pneumatics, I don't think.
No.
And it also looks like someone rammed a featherweight up its arse.
Yeah, I have seen that, actually. I have. Yeah, I think you've sent me enough pictures that I'm vaguely aware of some of the robots. So yeah, the random bit sticking out the back is a bit ugly. And, pneumatics.
They just optimise the charm out of it, I fear. Maybe I'll feel differently when I see it in action properly.
Yeah.
Stills are kind of a hard thing to judge a robot on, but I like the old one a lot. It's always going to have a place in my heart.
Yeah.
Cherub, however.
Cherub, you love Cherub.
I actually can't remember what my opinions have been on Cherub. I feel like I've probably been quite harsh about it.
You hate it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but that's pre-building a Beetle, Ryan.
Okay.
Post-building a Beetle, Ryan is a very different beast. Post-building a Beetle, Ryan isn't going to blame Cherub for the controversies that it was involved in. This is a robot that was made to go out and be an entertaining thing, and that didn't completely fail at that. So it has merit because of it.
Look at you.
It is not, however, a hammer. And hammers are, of course, the only acceptable design now. So 1 and 6.
I'm not going to go that far, but I do feel like once again it's in Beta's favour, I think.
I don't see Beta killing Cherub.
No, I don't think it's going to be a knockout or anything, but I think over the course of a fight, even in the UK, the points have got to go to Beta.
I suppose where Cherub did well in terms of rules was aggression against a spinner, which I guess is kind of an easy thing to show as long as you're willing.
Mm-hmm.
And then control against a robot that was fundamentally set up in a way that didn't work in the Behemoth fight.
Blimey, what a fight that was.
Beta offers neither of those kind of routes to victory for it. Even if they did get the forks into play, which I don't think we've really seen from them outside of live events before anyway, Beta has that ability to just jump straight off of it. So it is hard to see how they win this. But like you, I don't want to make it a 1 and 6. That feels harsh. Even though everything that I've described there says 1 and 6, I feel like I don't want it to be 1 and 6, which probably means it should be 1 and 6. I don't know. Please stop me talking.
I don't think it should be 1 and 6 because I think, as with the last fight, there's the arena to consider here as well. And while unlikely, I think it is possible for Cherub to open the pit and then Beta to end up in it somehow. And there's also the house robots that I think are more likely to go for Beta than they are for Cherub, but who knows? So I think there are other things to contend with here.
I accept that those are Cherub's route to victory. I don't think that makes it 2 and 5. The fact it has a way to win does not make it 2 and 5. It's the likelihood of it being able to utilise that way of winning, which I think is very, very low. I'm honestly not sure I'm happy to budge from 1 and 6 here. Unless you can give me something more convincing.
It's not a hill I'm willing to die on.
And it's going to come up as a 1 now, isn't it? It's just going to.
I hope so.
Are you sure you're okay with the 1 and 6? I feel like I've sort of twisted your arm here.
No, I think that's fair. Like, my memory of Cherub is that it's a small brick that can survive hits. And through a certain amount of sort of dumb luck and weird rules and stuff, it happens to have won some fights, but I don't think I wouldn't expect it to win fights. I'd expect it to survive most fights that it's in, but not win them.
It's very well optimised to win fights against spinners under UK rules.
Yeah.
And I would not ever want to take that away from it. I also think it's got a lot more personality than I ever initially gave it credit for. It's a very sort of non-meta thing with the weapon, which I always appreciate in other robots, so I should appreciate it in this as well. I just don't see its route to victory in this fight.
Right then, 1 and 6 then.
1 for Cherub. Obvs.
It is, drum roll please.
A 4.
A 4? No, it's a 7.
I mean, that's kind of a spicy 4. It's got some of the same lines in it.
It's an unfinished and upside down 4.
Best kind of 4. You know, I'm worried that if anything, we've kept the pace too high so far.
No, it's fine.
Next up, and falling into the fights we might almost skip over category, is Double Jeopardy versus Duck.
This is Duck's fight, isn't it?
Yeah. I think we always acknowledge that Double Jeopardy has the potential to do fight-winning damage. So I think when it defied the odds against Yeti last round, we very happily came up with the situation where it, fired into the drum and completely disabled it and was able to, win the rest on its own drive power or whatever. But there's so much redundancy in Duck that one hit isn't taking out any complete system. So it's just got to be 1 and 6, hasn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
1 for Double Jeopardy, the rest for Duck.
It's a 2.
That's closer than I would have liked it to be. I'm glad about it, because the one risk when we sort of do this and almost skip through a fight is that we end up not talking about the stronger robot. So it's nice that we're going to get to do that in its next round.
Yeah. Man, we're flying through these. That's what, 3 so far?
I know, I'm almost worried by how quickly we're going through.
No.
I've just downloaded... The thing I did when I went to my mum's, instead of doing a big update, was I just backed up some really important files, among which was the Ratunkti setup.
Excellent.
So that's now on Dropbox. I'm just looking through in case we need to start the next round.
No, we'll do the 8 we said we'd do today, and then stop, and then get used to this pace, people, because the next episode is 16 fights or something. So,
oh god, yeah, and not many of them are going to be this easy.
Yeah,
I'm looking at just the first few, and it's rough going.
This will be a good warm up. Should we move on?
Yes, it's my turn to announce.
Is it?
Yes. Oh, actually, no, it's yours.
I think it's my turn.
Slacker.
I know, I'm sorry. We have Crushstation versus Son of Huayachi.
This could easily be one that we skip through, but I do have to point out that this is in the Robot Wars arena.
And does that in some way lower the power of Son of Huayachi?
No, but it makes its own power slightly more of a danger to it. It also brings the arena flipper into play, which Crushstation might be able to use tactically.
It's going to one-shot Crushstation and then the fight is over.
I don't know. I really think there's potential for this to be a prolonged dance around the floor flipper, as Crushstation basically invites Son of Huayachi to drive straight over it. And I worry that could be a very effective strategy.
I don't think they drive over it, though. I think that if Crushstation decided to go with that approach, I think the resulting fight would be incredibly tedious, because I don't think Son of Huayachi would drive over the flipper.
Yeah, that's my problem.
So I think this is either going to be a very clear win for Son of Huayachi or a very boring fight.
I don't know what the judges would do in that situation. I feel like the fact that, obviously, you would understand that strategically it is one robot running away from the other. But it's kind of a failure to engage from both of them equally. Because it's not like Son of Huayachi can't hit Crushstation. They're just choosing not to because they don't like the consequences. So they are failing to engage just as much as Crushstation is.
To be honest, I feel like we're either underestimating or overestimating something about someone's driving here. I don't think you're going to go for 3 minutes without these two robots making contact. Eventually, either Crushstation will get bored or Son of Huayachi will get them one way or another. And I maintain that it maybe not one hit, but I don't see Crushstation taking many hits.
I mean, I don't see them taking a single hit, because that's kind of how it went down when they faced, I think, Ironside.
Well, there we go then.
Well, to be fair, they faced Ironside 3, Apex and Pulsar at the same time. I think it was Ironside 3 that got the single killing blow on them. But either way, it's a robot from a different era.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure was modernised even really at all for Robot Wars in the reboot. So I guess it's a 1 and 6 then, isn't it?
Yeah, because otherwise you've got to assume that either Crustacean is like fast and manoeuvrable enough to keep away from Son of Waiachi and stuff, which I just don't think it is. Son of Waiachi is not the world's quickest robot or anything, but it's no slouch either.
There's a good chance it's actually quicker than Crustacean.
Even if it's not as powerful a driver as it could be, it's still like modern hardware, so...
Yeah, let's go for it. Once again, it is 1 and 6. 1 for Crustacean, everything else for Son of Waiachi.
1 and 6. This is the theme of the episode. It's a 5.
And nothing of value happened. So, you said there was a pattern emerging of 1 and 6.
Oh, no.
Do you fancy breaking that pattern with a 6 and 1?
Sounds good to me.
Next up, we have 2018 Bite Force versus Plan X. And I think what we should do is just silently roll it.
It's a 3.
Excellent. We carry on. Good. We will have a lengthy conversation about Bite Force next time. I would say that we've maybe done Plan X a disservice there, but...
I disagree. We've talked about it once already. That's enough. And we really are flying through these.
We are, yeah. This is a whole new world.
We have Photon Storm versus Rotator. This reminds me of right at the beginning of this episode, as I haven't seen anything about the new battle bots, and I'm increasingly realising that's not quite true. I feel like I've seen a picture of Rotator.
I feel like you've seen more than a picture of Rotator. I feel like you've seen Rotator in a number of fights.
No, I mean like the this year's Rotator.
Did it look anything like this?
It looked
in the one you've got in front of you.
It looked like they completely given up on the two-ended thing.
That is how it appears, yeah.
Yeah, which is a shame.
I do like the really old school concept and execution of Rotator, which thankfully is the one we're judging on here. 2018, as I recall, it only had that setup, didn't it? And it really came into play specifically against Icewave. I think that's where we saw the absolute best of that sort of concept working.
Yeah, and then it was last year that they had the option of either having double-ended or one-ended, and they kept going one-ended, and it seems like this year they've just built a one-ended robot and still called it Rotator.
So my understanding is that in 2019, they started off with both options, and in testing they did some quite bad damage to the sort of two-spinner version, and therefore they started the season with only that one available. I don't know at what point it kind of became available to them again, but their matchups from there seem to suit not using it anyway. I feel like the Sawblaze fight, if they had that set up, they would have used it.
Anyway,
should we talk about Photon Storm for a second?
This is not what we're here to talk about. We'll focus on old Rotator and Photon Storm.
Photon Storm maybe shouldn't be here. We gave it some pretty good odds against Poison Arrow, 4 and 2, which it won through on, based largely on my passionate statement that it was a former UK champion, a statement that proved to be entirely false. Now, from all I can tell, it did do fairly well on the live circuit, especially for not a flipper. I think in its Tiberius phase in particular, it was, the best crusher that the UK had to offer. I think I was right when I said it was a robot people were scared of back then, but a UK champion, it is not. And I feel like this matchup is kind of karma for it being here. Because I think Rotator, in much the same way that it did against Icewave, can really make use of that dual disc setup to just annihilate the weapon on it.
Yeah, short of Photon Storm somehow miraculously getting around to the side of Rotator, I'm not sure that it's got a hope of getting a grab on anything, has it really? I
mean, Petunia did manage that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not possible.
Well, I think Petunia is a better design all round than Photon Storm was. There is previous here of a crusher being able to almost control bot its way through a fight against Rotator.
Yeah.
But as I say, I think that was just a better crusher. It's hard to remember that the 2018 Rotator isn't the one that reached the dizzying heights that the 2019 one did, especially with the Tombstone win, but it is still a solid robot. I might need you to put a number on it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to go as far as 1 and 6 here. I'm not sure I can articulate why I don't want to do that. I just think that's a bit unfair to Photon Storm.
Is it?
Well, this is the thing. I feel like it is, but I can't justify that. I don't think I can present a compelling argument. I mean, I feel like the Photon Storm looks quite well armoured, but I don't remember enough about it to know if it is well armoured.
It's hard to tell because its only fight was Minotaur, where it did get pretty chewed up. It's hard to know how upgraded it was for BattleBots. You hear sort of very differing reports of the state it came into Series 2 in. We know they had big plans in terms of upgrading it from a live circuit machine to a BattleBots machine. We don't know how much of that actually became reality. Well, none of it became reality because that was a Dutch entry, but I think I'm out to right or wrong. That's the problem. I want to go 1 and 6 just to make up for how wrong I got it last time. Which probably isn't the right way of looking at this.
No, I don't think we should. I don't think we can be considering past odds here. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to go 2 and 5. That's just how I feel.
I'll accept it. I've played hardball with you. This is the one where I maybe need to yield and say, yeah, I'll take that. So 2 and 5, 1 and 2 for Photon Storm, the rest for Rotator. Please don't be the upset of the episode.
It's a 5.
Genuinely relieved that we don't have to deal with Photon Storm again.
Sorry, Photon Storm. I tried my best.
Continuing along the team theme, we've now got Storm 2 versus Sabretooth. Series 9 Sabretooth, which for some reason we decided was the best Sabretooth. I'm not quite sure what we were doing. Although maybe I agree with this. It's the one I like most, I'll give it that.
I think that's probably what it came down to in the end. It was so long ago as well, you know? So long ago.
I just realised that my notes cannot be correct. Because I said that the Series 9 Sabretooth lost in the Series 10 Tenway, which is just blatantly false.
Well, are we combining records here or what? Like, so inconsistent with how we...
We decided very specifically that we were going Series 9 Sabretooth.
Okay.
And we clearly had a reason for that.
Stick to it and ignore the 10-way loss, I suppose.
Right, now we've sorted that out, I feel like your opinions are going to be quite clear-cut.
To be honest, I do feel like Storm 2 is probably going to win, maybe. I think. I feel like that's the way I'd give it, but...
So here's the problem. This version of Sabretooth wasn't very good at getting under things. When it did get under things, it had a lot of power. It really showed that against sort of... I was about to call it Aftershock. Against terahertz in particular. Storm 2, in its modern incarnation, was nowhere near as... sort of... I mean, dominant isn't the word. Nowhere near as far above everything else as it was... back in the original run.
Yeah,
in the original run, it was always going to be a finalist. In Series 10, you wouldn't have necessarily even bet on it making the Heat final. It didn't have that sort of dominating drive power. I think its armour was still a cut above everyone else, but you wouldn't really call it a big threat. And based on that, I think this is quite even. Storm 2 is not going to take much damage. I think it's going to probably get under Sabretooth as much as Sabretooth gets under it. But I'm not sure it's going to be able to do much with that. I guess that would equate to a win on the judges, but...
Can Sabretooth self-right?
Nope. Not even that certain it can run inverted. Oh shit, Storm 2 has a weapon now, doesn't it? Of course.
Storm 2 has a flipper, yeah.
Well, it has a lifter. A lifter that flips things over.
Storm 2 has a drum.
It's got 6 of them. Actually, no.
Damn it, you beat me to it. I was about to say it had 6 of them and you ruined it.
And then I realised how wrong I was and quickly backtracked.
No, well, I'm gonna double down then. It has 6 drums. There's nothing you could do to change my mind on that.
It's Storm 2's fight, which really feels weird to say. It's a question of by how much.
5-2.
Yeah, I think I'm with you.
Whoa!
It's funny how we've not had a single 4 and 3 stay when normally we're trying to move away from them. But yeah, 4-3 would be, I think, too much of an advantage to Sabretooth when it is going to kind of struggle for ways to win this fight. It's also weird, by the way, look at this version of Sabretooth, just seeing how far back the wheels are. At the time, that seemed fine. Now it seems really wrong to me.
Yeah. That is still a cool-looking robot, though, Sabretooth.
Oh yeah, this was aesthetically my favourite of the modern ones. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Storm 2, 6, 7 for Sabretooth.
It's a 4.
Still no upsets. Interesting.
Still no upsets.
We're going into the last round now.
The final one for this episode. We have free shipping versus bombshell.
I thought you were about to put a really weird stress on bombshell, like bombshell.
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 Obviously, we've gone with the version of bombshell that came second, not the other versions that barely worked and couldn't deal with being even slightly upside down. We're reliving the glory days for them. Yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad saying that because I've been playing quite a lot of Among Us with Mike Jeffries, and he's a really lovely guy. Damn, those two versions of Bombshell were bad. They really were. They had so many great design features, and they just dropped the ball on something as simple as not falling on your face and not being able to get up.
Look at you name dropping, blimey.
And have you know, I've been playing Among Us with a lot of big names.
Yeah, this is news to me. Who else have you been playing Among Us with?
I actually can't remember a lot of the people.
What has led to you?
It's mostly been the little content creator group. Yeah, there's been someone from the Deep Six team at one point. Someone I think from the Endgame team dropped by. Greg Catalina from WeWoo, probably the biggest name of them all. I've had some good times.
Is this like, is this recorded for a thing, or are you just playing for fun?
We've been playing for fun because Among Us is a game that is terrible in public lobbies, but really good with people who actually know what they're doing.
I will believe you. Do you want to start with free shipping?
I don't want to start with either because I don't know what to say about this one.
Is that because you think it's an obvious outcome, or are you just sort of like completely even? Where are you with this? Give me a sense.
There's what I think and there's what I know. Which is that I know this is going to come out as a bombshell win. And I think that's a shame. Because free shipping is a robot that I would love to move further forward in what we're doing here. I think it's just such a weirdo wild card that I'd love for it to be like the other expulsion that just kind of gets through.
Yeah.
It's won one fight. It did that, we think, without an active weapon, which kind of casts a little bit of a shadow over it. It's a robot that's not even trying to be competitive and yet still survives in fights. I haven't actually put this on the notes, I think all of its fights were judges' decisions except maybe Warhawk. It's just a cool thing that embodies the spirit that I want to see far more robots embodying in BattleBots. But that doesn't mean it's going to win this fight.
No, and I don't think it will.
We should decide what weapon Bombshell will go into this with.
I would have thought horizontal, maybe.
Why horizontal?
I don't know. It just seems like what I would do against free shipping, and I don't know why.
I guess there is a lot of fragile-looking stuff, isn't there?
There's the fragile-looking stuff up high, and I guess because the horizontal is the one that they can move around, isn't it? So I'd have thought maybe they'd sort of like start it up a bit higher and get some like really obvious visible damage up there. Disable the lifting mechanism that free shipping has. Yeah, that's sort of probably what I'd do. But then, to be honest, I think any spinner would probably do well enough at disabling that. So,
see, I was looking at the vert because free shipping can't really self-right. It can still drive around, but it can't self-right. So I thought maybe they'd want to get it over that way. I do worry whether their front end on that would actually do that well against the forks. Not that we ever saw the forks be useful in any real way. That made me wonder if they might use the attachment we never saw, which is the lifter. They supposedly had a lifter.
I don't know. I don't see why you do a lifter in this fight.
Because if you can reliably turn free shipping over, free shipping can't do anything.
I know, but like free shipping can't really do anything anyway.
This is true.
And I would have thought that you'd go for something like I'd be here being like, well, we just need to do damage because ultimately, like, I think it's fairly likely that the fight will go the distance. And so to win with the judges, you've just got to do as much damage as you can. And I think with a spinner of some description, you're going to do that.
I guess this is such a far from close fight that we can almost say it doesn't matter which one, can't we?
I think so, yeah.
I don't think it changes the odds drastically. Is it 1 and 6?
This bombshell was fairly reliable, wasn't it? Like it did survive stuff. Yeah, maybe as far as 1 and 6 because I just don't. As much as I like free shipping and as much as I don't think it's it's not going to be a knockout here, but equally it's I don't think there's a lot that free shipping can do to win the judge's decision.
Yeah, unfortunately I agree. 1 and 6. 1 for free shipping, the rest for bombshell.
Sorry, free shipping. Oh, that genuinely was close to a 1, but then it tipped over to a 5.
Great drama here on Spinnerproof.
So close.
So that locks it all in for the round of 32.
Yeah.
And I can go through the next round quickly, because there are some stinkers and some doozies in there.
Teaser for the listeners for next time.
So we're aiming to do these all in one episode, yeah?
That is the goal, is to do this entire round in one go.
So we start with original Cobalt versus Valkyrie, Spinner Lockjaw versus the Kegs, the Ringmaster versus Apollo, Red Devil versus Big Nipper, Warhawk versus TR2, which I think is a really tough one, Tombstone versus Monsoon, Bronco versus Whiplash, the round version of Expulsion versus Eruption, PP3D versus the Four Horsemen, Lifter Overdrive versus Minotaur, Iron Ore 6 versus Rapid, which is probably the funniest of the lot to me, 2018 Witch Doctor versus Complete Control, Hypothermia versus Beta, Duck versus Son of Waiachi, which I think would be really good, Bite Force versus Rotator, and Storm 2 versus Bombshell.
Oh.
Some of those I think we can agree won't need much discussion. Others I worry really will.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty packed episode next time.
I think it's one of those rare times where we've got a fight that actually happened, which is kind of handy. In fact, we've got 2 fights that actually happened.
Excellent.
Sam will now name them.
I will name, will I? Whiplash and whatever they were fighting?
Yeah, Bronco,
that was one. What's the other one that's happened before?
that is the question.
Oh, I don't know.
Bite Force Rotator.
Bite Force. See, I was thinking that, and I was like, I couldn't picture the fight in my head. I should have just said it. I should have just gone with it.
Yeah, should have just taken a punt.
Well, there we go.
We're going to get through this somehow.
Oh boy.
Right, do you want to after show?
We can do, yeah. That's. Oh, I've got to do an outro. Oh shit.
So we'll have to keep it quite brief if that's okay, because we want to do a no more spinners. But
can I remember the outro?
I think it's just have a go, one take. If it works, it works.
That's the goal. You can find the show notes for this episode at spinnerproof.com/episodes/80, and there you can find links to all the stuff we've been talking about today. You can also find a link to our Twitter at Spinnerproof, where you can tweet to us what you should tweet to us, because I forgot to think about it.
I was hoping you'd ask, because I had one. I had one.
I forgot that I asked people to tweet us something until I got to that point in the outro, and I was like, crap.
Wow, the world will never know what glorious topic I had in mind.
Oh, well, save it for next time.
I'll forget it by next time.
Perfect.
Right, how are you going to lead into this after show then?
Oh, I don't know. Right, so in the last episode, 2 months ago, we talked a little bit about like, how we made that interview with Dave Moulds and a bit of the behind the scenes, and then enough people got in touch saying they were interested in that and wanted to hear more about how Spinnerproof was made in general, and that is enough of an excuse for me to talk for far too long about how Spinnerproof is made.
What's great about this is that I don't actually need to be here for this.
No, you can just go now.
I could stop recording and it wouldn't make a difference.
Oh dear, no, I won't go on for too long. I don't think there's a huge amount to say. Spinnerproof is, for the most part, recorded double-ended. Ryan and I are in different places. There's a period of Spinnerproof in the middle where we did record face-to-face. So we'd be in the same room. And that was a different way to edit, that was. But yeah, a double-ended recording means that I am recording my microphone with Audacity, and then Ryan is recording his microphone with Audacity, and then Ryan will send me his recording after we've finished this call. He'll send me his recording, and that means we get the highest quality audio from both sides. Like we record the Skype call as a bit of a backup, but we try not to use that audio because, as you have probably heard in some of the more recent episodes, the Skype audio stinks.
Yeah, it's bad because not only is it not coming through a good mic sometimes, like now it isn't, it also comes over the web, and there's a lot of losses associated with that. Yeah,
Skype does a lot of compression in the name of like latency, so it will do fairly low latency chatting, but it's pretty low quality. The show itself, like we have a rough idea of what every episode will be. Like we do sit down like before we hit record and sort of have a quick go over a rough structure. Like the episode, like Spinnerproof is structured insofar as it's got like, you know, we've we have a cold open, the drills, and then we'll have follow up, front matter, topics, outro, after show, in that order, but not necessarily all of the things in it. So we often drop follow up, and we most regularly drop the after show. But we follow that order, and we have a rough idea of what the conversation is going to be, so we can steer it. Retuncti is a lot more planned. Obviously, we know what the fights are going to be. I think that's sort of it for recording and how it's recorded. I guess. I mean, I don't know if people care about the equipment, but like I have like an Audio Technica ATR 2100, and Ryan has like a Samsung Q2U, I think.
Yep, I love that you knew what mic I had. I had to look at the box.
If you're looking for a microphone, I'd get Ryan's. Don't get mine. Get the one that Ryan has. It's a better microphone.
It's worked with fewer issues, I think, would be a better way of putting it. I think yours is slightly better quality, but yours was more money and more hassle, wasn't it?
Mine's been a lot more hassle, and it's a lot quieter. And I don't know if that's because I don't know if this model of microphone is just quiet, or if my particular one is slightly defective. I'm not sure. But it's incredibly hard to balance if you have monitoring, it's incredibly hard to balance the sound of the monitoring and the sound of the computer. It's it's a pain in the neck. So like Ryan's has just seemed to be much easier to use than what I have. So get that. I record through a USB audio interface. I have a Tascam US 2x2. I'm going on too much. That's the equipment. It's not that exciting.
One thing I'd say about recording, particularly with the planning that you said about, is that we have really struggled in the past with getting the balance of planning right. I always get really anxious that if we plan too much, we end up having good conversations that we don't record. We'll like pre-discuss the thing we want to talk about, and then we just try to recreate that discussion. So we're, broadly speaking, better if we just don't plan anything that we're going to say at all. We'll say, here is a topic I want to talk about. I'm not going to say any more to you.
Yeah.
Which sometimes results in great conversations. Other times results in one of us not having a clue what is going on at all and just kind of being along for the ride. It's a really tricky thing to balance out. And I think we also struggle with too much structure. If we try to structure something in an inorganic way, Retuncti works because it has to move the way it does. But if we try to create and stick to a format, I think we both find that really awkward.
Yeah, I think we would as well. While what a lot of we do is structured insofar as we know, like, so for Retuncti we know the fights, and for like when we've talked about like BattleBots or Robot Wars, like we know the fights we're going to talk about and roughly the order. But that's about it. Like we don't pre-discuss what we're going to say or anything like that. And yeah, it is a tricky balance. There are definitely things where we've ruined topics by talking about them without the recording going, and there's situations that we've tried to have the conversation twice and it just doesn't work. It's a really so that's always tricky.
And on the other side, there have been situations where we kind of blindsided the other one with an unexpected topic or an unexpected twist on a topic that's just gone nowhere because of it, and would have been so much better if we'd had 5 minutes going, here's my broad point, do you want some time to think about it? Yeah,
that's definitely sort of a thing. It's a really hard thing to balance, and I don't, we get better over time.
I think there was a dip, I couldn't tell you when it was. I think there was a real dip where I got too in my own head about how we planned things and just kept getting it wrong and kept feeling really uncomfortable in recordings. Yeah,
well, it's a journey. I don't know. I don't know.
The overall curve is upwards.
Yeah, I would say so. What's the next thing? The next thing is editing. Editing is the thing, and I think that editing, like with anything creative, anything you're doing, be it podcast writing, or making videos, even like less obviously creative things like writing software or whatever. Like if you're just creating anything, a really useful skill and the most important thing I think is editing. The first phase of this is just like get all the raw material out. In our case, it's just like record the thing, and then we've got to edit it. And there's lots of approaches to editing. You can do a lot of professional podcasts that sort of take inspiration from radio. They'll do like a live to tape style approach to things where they don't edit the content at all. And don't edit much in terms of they don't do much fine editing, but they will do like intro stuff, like an intro jingle and like a big spiel at the beginning. and then top and tail the recording, and then have some kind of like outro and jingle, all that kind of stuff at the end. Spinnerproof is not like that. That's not the way. That's not what we don't take inspiration from that kind of show or from radio particularly. A lot of the stuff that inspires the way that Spinnerproof works is more indie podcasts, I guess. Not that some of them are like Hello Internet is obviously a massive podcast, so maybe not quite
it's
indie.
Like one of the biggest podcasts in the world, yeah.
But it's produced in an indie way, it's sort of like it's not got a big studio behind it. It's just two guys and stuff. And most of the podcasts I listen to really are indie. They're pretty niche and small audiences compared to the big guys. So I do a fair mix of editing content and editing the conversation and the way that it flows. So we try not to have conversations that I have to remove, because if you have a conversation in a recording and then you have to then remove it, any conversation afterwards might reference the thing that you said. So removing stuff from a recording is challenging, or can be challenging. It depends how much you reference it again later on. So I don't like doing it, but we do it. There are,
Usually because I did something stupid.
Well, there's all kinds of reasons.
I think it's very rare we're removing something that you did. We're always removing stuff I did. And I always feel really bad afterwards remembering how much of a pain that is for you.
No, it's fine. I think we edit stuff out for lots of reasons. So the Retunti stuff gets more edited. Like I edit out stuff between each round and stuff where we like collect our thoughts a bit.
Which is easy because there's a defined intro to every round. In that case, it works quite easily. Yeah,
it works really well, but for the more natural stuff, it's harder. The other kinds of stuff that I edit out is like sometimes jokes don't land and I just remove them, or often not often, but every now and then we'll just have like a quick meta conversation and just sort of be like, we'll just do a quick sort of like programming note about what we're going to talk about next and stuff. And I tend to just try and remove that because it's not interesting. Although sometimes I leave it in. Sometimes I think it's quite sort of funny or quite interesting to sort of pull back the curtain a little bit. It sort of just depends what mood I'm in when I'm editing, really, for removing that. The biggest thing that I try and do though is if you're recording a conversation over Skype, there's latency. There's like a big gap between when I finish talking and when Ryan hears it, and vice versa. And so in the recording, Ryan and I talk over each other constantly. We're always interrupting each other, and the biggest thing that I do is remove that. So I will pull out. I don't do it religiously. I'm not brilliant, I don't think, at sort of doing this kind of stuff. I certainly don't do it consistently, but I try to remove false starts, and I do a pretty good job, I think, of removing crosstalk when we talk over each other. So if Ryan starts talking and I haven't quite finished in the recording, because it's two separate tracks and I can move them independently of each other, I will pull that apart so that my thought finishes and then Ryan comes in, or vice versa. I think I interrupt Ryan more than he interrupts me, to be honest.
I refuse to believe that. I have an interrupting problem. It's a noted issue in my personality and presence.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't matter either way. The point is, we interrupt each other, and I try to tidy that up in the edit. So that's one thing. And then the other big thing is just adjusting timing of stuff. Again, because there's this latency between when something is said and when it's heard, it means that jokes and punchlines and the laughter from it doesn't land properly when you listen to the recording. It sounds really awkward and forced. And so a big thing is adjusting that laughter or sniggers or whatever, like whatever the reaction is, bringing that forwards most often to sort of like make it so that it happens just after the thing, to try and make it sound natural. I think over the time of Spinnerproof, I think at the start of Spinnerproof, I think I cut way too much. I cut out too much silence. And then I think it's sort of like slowly I've backed off of that kind of stuff. And I think it sounds more natural now, but yeah. But that's sort of it in terms of the editing. And I think that's an important step. And that's where the cold open comes from. It'll come from me finding a funny bit at some point in the recording and sticking it at the beginning. And sort of like try to refine the conversations and stuff.
I think it's worth talking about what a massive trade-off all of this editing is. I mean, how long do you reckon you spend on the average audio edit?
So I think it takes me anywhere from 1.5 to 2 times the length of the recording to do an edit. So if we record for 2 hours, which we're coming up on now, it will take me 3 or 4 hours to edit it. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder. Some take a lot longer for lots of reasons. They just end up being a pain to do. It's hard to articulate why that is, but some of them take 6 hours even to edit. And some of them I can do almost in real time. Like, it really does sort of depend on the conversations that we have. What I notice is that if we have an episode where it's predominantly monologues, it's a lot quicker to edit. So if there's a lot of Ryan...
Yeah, I was just going to say, monologuing is so much easier to edit.
Yeah, so if there's an episode where there's a lot of Ryan talking, that will almost certainly be a quicker thing for me to edit. If it's a lot of me talking, it's quicker than average, but it's still slower than doing it for Ryan. And I think it's because when you're editing yourself, you're harsher.
Yeah, I find the exact opposite. I edit myself. I cut my silences a lot more, as much as anything. Because I do tend to take unnecessary pauses, which is something I think I've learned from the early days of this podcast, where I was editing and would get rid of all of those pauses.
Yeah. So I think that's probably it in terms of sort of like the editing, in terms of content and stuff. It is they're removing jokes that don't land, removing meta conversation, or things that we just don't want in the final released episode. Try to sort of tidy it up, speed it up a little bit. I remove the gaps and pauses between things. Like Ryan just said, he pauses a lot when he's talking, and I try to remove those. And all that kind of stuff. And then the other big thing that I do that's a more recent addition to the Spinnerproof production process is normalize the audio. To sort of like, I try and target like minus 13 LUFS or something. I forget the numbers. I haven't edited in so long now. I forget the exact numbers, but I try to normalize the audio so that it's all the same level.
And hopefully all of these things do come across in the end products. I don't know if people notice or care about that kind of thing.
What I hope is that it's that people can tell that it's a thing that we've produced with care and that we have, worked hard to make it. But I don't want people to sort of, I don't want it to sound edited. That's the thing. I want it to sound like a natural conversation.
So the thing that sort of interests me is that, that's a really bad way of introing this point, but our style is quite rare in podcasts, I think. We're obviously used to seeing it because it's what the kind of bigger, more produced podcasts tend to do. And we're actually a really niche thing for whom it maybe doesn't really fit as an approach. And there are a bunch of really entertaining, great robot combat podcasts that don't do any of this. There are podcasts out there that are a Skype call that is recorded, has an intro put on and goes out. And they are, so many of those are still really good podcasts. This stuff isn't necessary at all to make it good. It's just the way we want it to be. Yeah,
I'm gonna.
Are you not comfortable with what I said there?
I think it's fine. I don't think you're wrong at all. It's just one of those things where, I don't think there's anything that can't be improved with editing. That's the thing. I think that if you can edit well, you can improve anything that you work on, and I think it's a really crucial step to just sort of tighten things up. And this is like what I said at the beginning of sort of like, this is an important skill for any kind of creative outlet. Like, you dump the raw content out and then you have to work it. You have to sort of like, for me, I think that you can always improve something by removing stuff. Not always, but like to a point, you can improve things by removing stuff that's not necessary and not adding to it. So with a podcast, does hearing every little cough and sniffle and background toilet flush add to a podcast? I don't think it does. And I think if you remove it, it makes it better. It's not to say that leaving that stuff in is bad. I just think removing it makes it better, even if it is more work.
The trade-off, however, is speed.
That is the thing, yeah. I think the fastest turnaround we can do is record on one day, and then if I have enough time in a day, I can get an episode out the following day. We don't do that very often. I think
we tried that. We tried to really rush episodes out when I can't remember what season or series it was, where we tried to be really sort of on time, and being timely isn't something that can really work for us. Something that I know will happen in the next couple of weeks is that the BattleBots field will go on the website, and most people will probably have their video or podcast about that out the same day or the next day. Whereas for us, I mean, we probably won't do that anyway. It's not something that we really do. Although I would love to sit down with you and see your first reactions to all of these robots, but that's a separate thing. So if we tried to do that, it would be out like the next week. And in this kind of field, as it were, I feel like the moment has often passed with a lot of things once you've been like a couple of days.
Yeah.
Which is why I imagine that this season we won't do BattleBots coverage episode by episode at all. like we didn't last time.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we'll do with this season, because I think, like, you know, we've got more time than in the past. So one of the big constraints, like in terms of like how quickly we can do turnaround, I think the closest we got to a rhythm and a routine was that we would record on Wednesday and it would be released on Friday. I think was the sort of like most consistent and regular thing that we could do, because I wouldn't be able to watch BattleBots or Robot Wars or whatever it was at the time. I wouldn't be able to watch it until Tuesday. That was the earliest I could do it. So I'd watch it on Tuesday and make notes, and then we'd record on Wednesday, and then I'd edit on Thursday and get it out and stuff on Friday. So that's sort of the quickest that we can do stuff because of the edit. Yeah.
Listen, I think now I'd be the limiting factor.
Yeah, I don't know really. I mean, so the other thing, I guess, in terms of like release and all that kind of stuff, is like once I've done the edit, or Ryan's done the edit, we will give it to the other person.
You've done the edit, yeah.
Most of the time it's me. Once I've done the edit, I'll send it to Ryan, and he will go through, and that's when Ryan makes all the show notes and stuff. So he'll listen to the thing that I edited, and he'll point out the stuff that I missed, and give suggestions and stuff. Most of which I generally take on board and make those little tweaks, because they're all generally quite quick. Sometimes I ignore it.
Sometimes they're a bit pedantic, aren't they?
Yeah, but this is the thing. Like we should always try to be releasing stuff that we're both proud of and pleased with. And if one of us isn't, then we need to do something about that. Ryan will listen to the edit and make the show notes, and then I will make the final tweaks, and then it gets uploaded and published after that. So that's sort of the thing where it's like I can edit it, and then the next day Ryan will listen to it, and then the day after that is when we can publish it.
And while we can compress that, it's a lot of stress.
Yeah, we can do it.
It's just not worth it.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely sort of just edit at the pace that I can be bothered to, or that is convenient.
It all becomes so much more of a chore once there's a deadline, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's how Spinnerproof is made.
This demonstrates that we've got to the end of this topic, doesn't it?
I think so. I think I've covered how it's made. I'm happy to talk people's ears off if they want to ask me about how to do stuff, the software and all that kind of stuff. I'm happy to answer those questions. But there we go.
Well, I'm recording the other thing in 10 minutes, so we better wrap this.
Yeah, cool. I edit with Reaper. Is as much as I'm going to go into that. If you're interested in the software, that's what I used to do it. But that will do it. That's the end of the show. Goodbye.